And looking for the red button. Got the red button. I'm live. All right. Got nobody out there for right now, but this will give a few minutes for people to get here. This is Randy Curvin in Kirksville, Missouri, a blue dot in a red state. This is Rantin Randy's Rant, the True Patriots group for the 21st day of October 2021. All right. Where in the hell do you start other than the Braves won last night? And so it goes to game 5 today in Los Angeles. Uh, Last night's game was 9-2. And the Braves mostly pulled it off in the eighth and ninth inning. And now that is a lead for the Braves of 3-1. And if they win in game, if the Braves win this next game this evening, and if the Dodgers win tonight, it goes back to Atlanta on the sixth. I mean, for game 6 in Atlanta, Georgia, and a possible game 7. So we'll have to see how that goes. All right, got one person out there, two people out there. There's a 1 second delay on chat. There we go. Hello, brother Michael. How you doing, bud? All right. You're the first one in the room again today. All right. Let's start out with Brian Laundrie's backpack and notebook and human remains were found yesterday. And it sounded like Brian's family went to the nature reserve uh, and actually mostly led them right to the backpack and the notebook and the human remains. They didn't know there were human remains there, according to what I heard. But last night, Laundrie's attorney talks to Cuomo about the family refused to speak to anyone but the attorney. That was, he said that was his advice. He told them to not talk to anyone. And I already told you they led the police to the spot where the backpack and notebook were found. And more than likely, it's Brian's remains, but forensics will have to tell us if that's the case. Uh, and I know what that feels like from my own brother's death. It took some time before, with DNA, they found that it was Greg. Uh, the coroner, when he called me the first time, said it was probably Greg, but he had decomposed and he couldn't identify him. But he told me they would identify him by DNA, and that's what they did. All right. The FDA is okay mixing COVID vaccines, uh, Vax, Moderna, and Johnson and Johnson boosters. As for Grace and I, we will go with Moderna once again. I'll be calling Adair County Health to find out when we can get the booster. I've got it figured it probably very shortly since we got our last dose, second dose on Good Friday. It should be sometime soon, like in the first part of November. All right, something else I wanted to touch upon. I had said that I would find out from Social Security about the 5.9% raise at their January or in January of 22. But we know how it works. Uh, if we get the raise in January, that means we get it in February. Uh, and the agent and I also talked about uh, that we may lose a little uh, from our Social Security when we get more in Medicare benefits like the vision, the dental, and hopefully lower drug costs. Uh, but brothers and sisters, it's well worth it. I'm willing to lose a little money that Grace and I get. I just checked on mine, but on average, on mine, we're talking 80 additional dollars that it may get taken up by Medicare. I don't care because it comes out regardless, and uh, it would do wonders for Grace and I to have Medicare cover more for us. There are things that we both need that this would cover. All right, now I can go back to where I was in my rant. I didn't want to forget that because I did say I would cover that, and I did find that out. And nothing has changed on that. Biden said that it might cost a little more out of Medicare, but you don't have to take care of the premiums. The thing is going to be handled out of Medicare, out of your Social Security anyway. So I feel like that's a good thing. And the White House is going to roll out vaccines for 28 million children, 5 to 11, as soon as the FDA approves. And that would be Pfizer at first. Dr. Fauci on the subject, Dr. Fauci said the data is there from around the world, uh, or in general, on these vaccines being good. I also remember that the age group would receive a smaller dose because of their age. Uh, and like I said, plans for this for now will be Pfizer. And the CDC should decide maybe as soon as today who is eligible to get the booster. All right, well, go back again. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. We've got things around here to do. I'm looking forward to that game later on. Representative Jeff Fortenberry, the Nebraska Republican, a federal grand jury in LA, is indicted Fortenberry, 60 years old, one count of scheming to falsify and conceal material facts, and two counts of lying to federal investigators. He doesn't have the former to pardon him, like Chris Collins and Duncan Hunter. Chris Collins of insider trading and Duncan Hunter of stealing campaign funds. And Donnie pardoned them. This man ain't got anybody to pardon. My question is, why is GOP thinks it's okay to be corrupt? Fortenberry, uh, a 9-term Republican, proclaimed his innocence. We will fight these charges. This is a familiar ploy with the GOP. In the past administration, it's all right to lie to the FBI. Going back to the former administration, one Michael Flynn, who was also was pardoned by the former president. And that's what he is. He's a former. He's not president of the United States. Although some of his delusionals think he still is, that he's the one that's flying around the world in Air Force One. I mean, boy, you talk about delusional. Uh, Also breaking yesterday, voting legislation blocked again in the Senate as Republicans unite for the for filibuster. But this was a procedural vote, and I've got more on that as we get down through the story. Uh, and again, I repeat, they know with oversight federally they can't win elections, so therefore filibuster. Uh, And I think I recall Manchin said that they would come uh, on board to do the right thing about voting rights. Wrong again, Joe Manchin. This was your bill, the Freedom to Vote Act. And they still are already saying in procedural votes they will not vote for it. And that bill, even the one he came up with, I believe he was working with Amy Klobuchar on this. Ensure all voters have access to online voter registration. Offer same day voter registration at all polling locations by 2024. Make election day a public holiday. Make intimidation of election workers a crime, create uniform standards for voter identification. Because of Joe Manchin, uh, the People Act died during the summer because Manchin said he wouldn't vote because no other Republican uh, would support that or vote for it. Ladies and gentlemen, West Virginians, this is your senator killing your voting rights. Is this who you want to be leader in your state? Mother Jones wrote an article that they claimed that he said he'd be leaving the Democratic Party. He said to the story, it was bullshit. Bullshit, spelled Bull. And that's not a direct quote, but that's close enough to what he was saying. So I don't know where Mother Jones got their information, uh, but that's what he said. Then I got to see an interview. I'm getting to where I put Rachel Maddow ahead of other shows. She is a heck of a reporter, and she gets on the stuff that other people are getting to very late in their show if they don't get to it, or if they even get to it. Pardon me. Even Senator Angus King, independent of Maine, who was totally against changing the filibuster in October of 2020, is now saying that coming to a new view of this legislation. He told Nicole Wallace on Tuesday he would back filibuster changes because the stakes are too high. Democracy itself. On the floor of the Senate, Senator King, most uh, most failures of democracy started with legitimate elections. He gave examples of Turkey, Venezuela, and Hungary as examples of failed democracies that slid into our autocracy, and then your vote doesn't mean anything. Not a direct quote, but the messages in it. If the swing states was one of his example, uh, doesn't like the slate of electors, they will replace it with their own so that they can decide the election. Holy shit, you can't make this shit up. Uh, Not by popular vote, but by state legislators is not democracy. This is a power grab by one party to retain power. The Freedom to Vote Act did not pass yesterday because uh, they couldn't get one Republican uh, to vote in the Senate procedural vote and the filibuster. It would take a simple change in the filibuster uh, to rule the filibuster rule for it to pass with simple majority. Although the Democrats have a majority, however slim, we are the majority party, and Chuck Schumer is the majority leader in the Senate. Get this straight, Mitch McConnell. This is not a majority leader. You're not majority leader anymore. The majority of the American people want free and fair elections in this country, brothers and sisters. This is what my rant today is about. Uh, Rachel talked with Senator Angus King, and he said it was just a procedural vote. That's what I based on what he said. He said the Republicans have no interest in voting rights bill because current uh, situation uh, was never intended by the framers of our Constitution that 24% of the population have the say over 76% of the people for the minority to hold a veto on how the vote comes out. And that's what it comes down to. They want to set it up and change those slate of electors to send to Congress uh, and throw out the college victorial victory uh, and only accept it if it's a Republican that is going to be the win whatever race. Now, you come back to what happened in 2020 uh, race was these same Republicans, they got elected, but they're against what the outcome was when their president didn't get the nod and their insurrection didn't quite work. Holy shit, you can't make this up. And I'm glad to see y'all out there. And I agree with that, James. Time to shut down Moscow, Mitch, and that oligarch, Deripaski. Uh, he has benefited Kentucky greatly for Mitch McConnell. All right, I see you all out there. Michael was first in the room, and say hello to Carol. She appears to be the second one. All of them that are doing wrong should receive the maximum sentence. I think in the case of Fortenberry, he could get as much as 20 years in prison. He ain't got a Donnie to get it butt out. Uh, exactly, Nancy. That's what's needed. They just need more votes, but they are so stuck up the rear end of that thing sitting over there on my display that they ain't going to do it. They're not going to budge from the way they feel about things because Donnie will make sure they're primary and they go home next time. Holy shit. But that's about it. That's about all I got for you today. I hope I got through this pretty quickly. I don't like to hold people up. We've got the Blue Dot meeting later on. I'll try to get in there later on, still handling things on the side, but I am getting things done in all areas, and I try to get some pretty timely posts out there off of YouTube. That's my biggest source for those. And of course, my Blue Dot sisters and brothers that support me by pointing these out to me. Some of those are from them, and I pass them on. All right, go down, like, and share. If you're new out there, you like what you're hearing on this show, please subscribe. We're at 254 subscribers, and I believe it's 428 on the Facebook for Rantin Randy's The True Patriots group. So here we grow again. It's little, but a Blue Dot Sisters daughter joined uh, Rantin Randy's Rant, The True Patriots group Facebook. So both are growing, and we're going to keep this shit going. That's all we can do. We have to fight as hard as we can. As T Brown was showing on TikTok earlier, uh, we're going to have to hit the streets, baby. Uh, uh, if I see a demonstration here, I'm going to make sure and go park somewhere, and I'm going to join in with them. It's just you don't gather more than about 15, 20 people in this redneck town or red state town. Uh, but I'll do what I can to get out there because it's going to take it, baby. If we want what we want, it's going to take people in the streets. And that is what I'll end it with. Peace, resist, persist. And I insist if the need now is to hit the streets and let Congress and the world know that we want all the good things in Biden's agenda. Uh, it seems like he's going to have to settle for less. I hope that's not the case. But they have got to get this thing worked out. He has to hit that G20, having accomplished something for the American people. And what gets me most is what most Americans want. And the GOP wants to stand in the way of all of it. Voting rights, Biden's agenda, anything to do with Biden, they don't want to go along. And that's against the will of the people of the United States, baby. All right. That's where I'll end it. I ask that you share this shit, and I'll see you later on uh, in the comments, or I mean, later on at the family meeting tonight. Have a good one. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting me in the many ways that you do. Thank you. Thank you. And share this shit. Bye bye for now. Share this shit, please.